Should you invest in wristwatches? Probably not, but if you're going to do that anyway, you should probably stay far, far away from the 5 watchmakers on today's list. It is 12:53 p.m. Let's get down to business. That's right, guys. You know my stance on using wristwatches as investments and money-making tools. You know, there are ways to make money in the wristwatch sphere. I mean, I've done it by starting a channel talking about wristwatches. I have a shop where I sell wristwatches, but buying them and sitting on them as far as an investment goes, I do not do that. And I don't think that that's why people should join the hobby. It's just my opinion. But if that's something you find very interesting and you want to try to make money investing in wristwatches, I'm going to try to help you out anyway and tell you you should stay far away from the 5 companies I'm about to talk about. First up being Hublot. Now, I've coined the slogan, Hublot your money away when you buy a Hublot. For instance, let's take a look at their most prolific series, okay? The Big Bang, right? Probably one of the most popular watches they make. Watchesoftoday.com actually posted a graph that shows the Hublot Big Bang retails for over $20,000, but within 6 months, the resale price drops to just over $14,000. Then a year after the sale, the price drops as low as $8,000. This is less than half of the original value of the watch. I'm going to post a link to that graph in the description below because it pretty much, like, that's all you need to know. Hublot just tanks the second you buy them. Now, speaking of tanks, this one hurts. Seiko agrees. One of my favorite watchmakers ever has to be on the list. All right, Cartier. I absolutely love Cartier. They're perhaps my favorite watchmaker of all time. Definitely top 5, probably top 2. They're on today's list because at retail, they are pretty expensive. They are not what I would consider to be entry-level affordable wristwatches. But because they make a ton of their more common models like the Tanks and Santos, you can find them pretty easily on the secondhand market, and just because of that alone, you know, the prices aren't that crazy. They just drop. They tank. Cartier tanks. It's a sad, sad joke. But see, the difference between Hublot and Cartier is Hublot is just way overpriced, right? So they shoot themselves in the foot because, like, for what you get, it's just redonkulous. Cartier actually has some very, very innovative, interesting designs, gorgeous watches with a ton of provenance and history. It's just that they make a ton of their more common models, so it's inevitable that secondhand you're going to find them, like, for a lot less. Next up, this is an obvious one, but Rolex. Now, I know Rolex is like a contender for like hardcore value retention. They are the most sturdy, built, humongous Warhammer 40K. I don't know why I said that last part. They're beasts when it comes to value retention, right? Well, things kind of changed during the lockdowns when everyone was selling NFTs and trying to anime girls in the metaverse. I don't know who was trying to do that. I wasn't trying to do that, but I heard from my friend Dylan. He goes to another school. He told me that people were trying to do that. The Rolex market just went crazy. So I'm not going to say you should stay away from Rolex if you want to invest in watches, but what I will say is stay away from inflated Rolex. And it seems like most Rolexes on the market right now are still suffering heavily inflated prices. Let me give you an example. Do you remember that time that I was just referring to? NFTs, the metaverse, me trying to have sex with my friend Dylan trying to have sex with anime girls online. Please do something funny with that, Gato.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say.
Rolex models like the ceramic Daytona hit a peak of $62,000, and on here, on this channel, you can find sound bites of me saying, this is really stupid and a lot of people are going to get burned, okay? That watch's MSRP is $13,750, all right? $13,750. This is not a $62,000 watch, but people were buying it high, thinking that it would just keep going higher. Well, fast forward a couple years to now, the average price is like 25 grand. So still a whole lot higher than MSRP, but there are people online absolutely burned because they bought it at the peak. Huge mistake. So please, just because you see a watch, specifically a Rolex in this case, going up in value and it gets crazy, do not buy high, because inevitably you are going to be selling low, and that is the antithesis of what you should be doing when you're investing. Unless you're trying to like create a loss so that you can like do some shady things for tax reasons. I don't know. This is not financial advice. Just do your thing. Next up, when we're talking about inflated prices, definitely don't invest in Seikos from resellers. Seiko used to be the people's champ when it came to, you know, awesome, overbuilt, crazy spec monsters for not a lot of money. I mean, you heard Seiko, Princess Seiko, my cat. You heard her. I named her after my favorite watchmaker, former favorite watchmaker. But those days are gone, all right? Seiko is, you know, now just the limited edition generator. That's what I like to call them. Any moderately interesting Seiko nowadays is going to be probably around, if not over $1,000, and it's going to be limited edition. All this does is incentivize scalper activity and like shady secondhand market moves. But here's the deal, okay? Here's what those resellers won't tell you. When you go online and you see these crazy inflated prices for these limited edition Seikos that you missed out on, no one's buying those. So please don't scoop one of these things up at a crazy inflated price thinking that it's going to increase in value after you buy it, because it won't. All right, those resellers are often left holding the bag. They buy a few units thinking that they can unload them and make a few grand. Ends up, not a lot of people are buying them. So yeah, unless it's a crazy sought after release, still most people don't buy them at those prices. So don't get caught up in the hype, dude. Don't think that you are going to make money from someone trying to make money. And yeah, those Seikos aren't going to become more valuable. I'm sorry. Because even their limited editions, they still make a lot of them. So just keep that in mind. And last but not least, a watchmaker I don't talk a whole lot about, Bremont or Bremont, however you want to pronounce it. They're overpriced in my opinion. Unfortunately, not enough collectors actually pay attention to them for there to be any form of real value retention. Some of their watches look real cool, and I know people that love them. It's just when you type in Bremont watches and you go to any of the Google searches, you will inevitably find people saying, these are really overpriced. Why are they so expensive? And I don't know why. I don't know why. But they lose value when you buy them. I mean, here's the moral of the story, okay? Pretty much anything you buy, whether it's a car, whether it's a watch, whether it's a limited edition Darkness Konosuba figure that you can remove her armor and her undergarments, you're going to lose money once you purchase it. That's just how depreciation works. Unless you really do your research, you get in low, and you're confident that it will be a sought-after product that increases. That's not like why I have joined this hobby. That's not where I find fun in this hobby. This is not how I would recommend others to join the hobby, but I'm not going to tell you what to do. And again, I legally have to tell you, this is not financial advice. This is just the rantings of a watch collector and a watch dealer. So I do have some insight on money exchange when it comes to watches, and I do have my ear to the ground, so to speak, when it comes to, you know, watch prices. And yeah, you should just buy these products, again, whether it's cars, whether it's anime titty figures, whether it's watches. You should buy them just because you like them. You shouldn't buy them to impress anyone else or to like make money on them in the future. It's just, that's not how I would do it. So I'm not going to recommend it here. But hopefully you learned something in this episode. And if you did, leave it a thumbs up. If you didn't like this episode, you can hit thumbs down. It's all good. No hard feelings. And why don't you go ahead and check out this episode about a woman who stole $100,000 worth of watches and she hid them in herself. Gato, clip it! But far and away the most crazy part of this story is her method for transporting said stolen goods. How... You know, we got demonetized because of the hentai episode, and I'm realizing now that this is just not going to be a very lucrative month for the Time Teller brand. Alright guys, I will catch you on the next one. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay blessed. I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller. Always remember, I didn't invent time. I just tell it.